Hey everyone, this is Corey Rogers, VP of Marketing for National Equipment Dealers. Today we're on location at the Hyundai Proving Ground here in just north of Commerce, Georgia. And I'm with Joe Hodges, the product manager for the off-road haul trucks. And what else do you have, Joe?
I have crawler excavators above 10 tons, and I also cover wheeled excavators for Hyundai.
Awesome. We're in the truck right now. This is an HA45, 45-ton off-road haul truck, articulated dump truck. And we are going to take it for a spin and talk about some of the features and benefits of this machine and give you kind of a preview of this machine. Hyundai currently brings in an HA30 and an HA45, correct?
Correct, just two models, yep.
Okay. So Joe, tell me a little bit about this HA45. Give me a little rundown of it.
Yeah, so our HA45 comes with tailgate standard. It has a Scania engine. It has Kessler drive system, so Kessler wheel hubs and differentials. And then it comes standard with an auto grease system and a few other features that other brands might not carry.
Awesome. And transmission in this is what, a ZF transmission?
ZF transmission.
So Joe, I'm going to take the camera and kind of tour the cab as you kind of point out some of the features where some of the different buttons are that an operator would need to become familiar with if you were going to operate this truck. So give me a little rundown of the inside of the cab, will you?
Yeah, sure. So all the way, we'll start over by the ignition. So you have the ignition, you have the tilt lever here with an accelerator button. And then you have the remote controlled mirrors, parking brake, shifting lever, and then your sealed keypad, and then the monitor system. So the monitor is pretty intuitive and easy to navigate, and there's not a whole lot of different back menus and things to kind of get lost in.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about some of the information that we can see here on the monitor.
Yeah, so on the monitor you have basic speed, the shifting state, and then what you can see here is like a little emblem for the diff lock, and then you have fuel, def, the weighing system, and then tilt indicators there across the top.
So Joe, you were telling us in the training that there are a couple different weigh systems built into this truck. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so there's a hydraulic weighing system that weighs every time you dump the bed. And then there's a active overload protection system that weighs based off of the weight that's getting loaded when the truck is stationary.
Okay. Good deal. Well, what are some of the other features and functions on that you can select from the control pad there?
So you can do everything from external lights, heating, the seat heater, and then you have everything from what is your front suspension system, and then the diff lock that I talked about briefly before.
So let's take it one step at a time. Run through all the buttons with me and just kind of identify those if you can.
Okay, so these are your main lights, front working light, cabin dome light. Then you have forward work light, rear work light, and beacon lamp. Then your hazards. This is your heated mirrors, heated seat, fuel warmer, and this will be like a block heater. Then you have what is an override button, programmable F1 through 4s, a help button, information, suspension. Then you have a menu, home or backup camera button, and then this is traction control, which isn't offered on the six-wheeled units, and then differential lock. And then these are just your navigation keys.
And let's review the levers that you've got back here again one more time.
Okay, so you have a shifting lever, so forward, reverse, and neutral. And then you have a dump lever here for controlling the bed. So on the bed lever, there's actually a forward detent, which will stay forward until the bed's all the way lowered, and then return to normal. And then on top, there's an accelerator button for dumping, which enables you to rev the engine with the machine in neutral.
And then to raise, you just pull back.
Correct.
And that's manual.
All the way back, yep.
Okay. And then if you would hold the accelerator button in to raise faster, they say. And the rotary knob there, what is that?
That's your controlled mirrors. So external cabin mirrors are remote controlled, similar to a car.
Can you move them?
Yep, so right hand.
Very cool. And that's left and right mirror?
Yes, sir.
So auto mirrors saves you a lot of time in adjusting the mirror position for the operator. You got some cup holders back here. Is that a hot cold storage box, or what is that?
It's just manuals and valves and things.
Okay, just an accessories box back there. Nice big spacious cab. How about tilting and telescoping the steering wheel? How does that work?
So you have a control lever here, and you can go up and just tilt just like that.
Okay, does it telescope as well?
It does not.
Okay, and talk to me about the turn signals and everything.
So yeah, you have turn signals on the left with light control and wipers, and then on the right hand side you have what is your retarder control, so you can take it and bump it up or down, And as you can see here on the monitor, it will show you the levels of the retarder control, 75, 50, and 25% reduction. So that'll basically adjust how aggressive the retarder is when you let off the accelerator on the unit.
So we just went through a few of the features and functions of the cab. There are a few other features that I see on the top of the cab, like you've got a sunshade up here. Let me point the camera that way. Joe, maybe you can pull that down.
Yeah.
And then you've got a AM/FM radio here with what looks to be a Bluetooth connection. And then your AC controls are right up here. It does have stereo speakers, all kinds of nice features on the inside of this cab. Big, nice, spacious cab on the Hyundai HA45. You know, we were talking a little bit about some of the features of the truck, and one thing I mentioned was HiMate, because Hyundai's been really well known for their telematics system called HiMate. And I guess this does carry over, and it doesn't provide all of the data because Hyundai bought Doosan, now called Develon. So
Correct.
This is a truck that was engineered and developed through them. This is made in Norway, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So I think that the HiMate system interfaces with the onboard RMCU, and some of the data is pulled out of that. What kind of data do they have available?
So you can still see fuel consumption and hours of operation and basic maintenance things, but you can't see quite as in-depth as what you'd see on a normal Hyundai unit.
Yeah. You know, one thing I like about this truck is just the simplicity of it. It's very simple. There's not a lot of... It's got nice bells and whistles, but it's not overly complicated, it seems like.
Yeah, there's not a lot of settings to get lost in, not a lot of things that you might accidentally impact the performance of the machine.
What are some of the comments that you've heard from customers that have been out on this proving ground about this machine in particular?
It's really robust. It's hard to get it stuck. I know people will challenge us on that, right? Put it to the test. But it's easy to drive, it's comfortable, and that's really important for guys that are spending a lot of time in the seat, you know.
So let's talk a little bit about the traction control that it has on board. It does have an Interaxle diff lock that can be turned on and off, right?
Yes. So that's a forward and aft diff lock. There's not a lateral one, but it makes sure to evenly distribute the drive control. So 60% of the drive goes aft and 30% in the front end to prevent slipping when you're either cresting a hill or maybe going through a bowl.
And the rear suspension is based on some type of bogie arrangement?
Yeah, so there's a dual bogie system, a single rear differential, and then the fore and aft on each side are gear driven, connected to each other.
Okay, and I'm sitting in the jump seat, so this would be like a trainer seat. So if you've got one of these machines on site, you can fold down this seat and ride along with the operator and discuss all the features and functions and how to operate the truck. So it's pretty convenient. One thing I noticed is the seat is very comfortable. Can you tell me about some of the adjustments that are available on the seat?
Yeah, so if it has air ride, again, it has the heated seat built into it here in the monitor itself, and then you have the ability to tilt the seat portion up and down and forward and aft to kind of extend it out under your thighs for the bigger guys.
Great. What's the warranty on this this truck, Joe?
It's 3 years, 3,000 hours, and then 5 years, 10,000 hours structural.
Excellent. That's a great warranty. All right, and then you can of course buy extended warranty through Hyundai, correct?
Yeah, that'd be purchased through service.
And that would just be an extension of the actual Hyundai warranty, I believe.
Correct, yes sir.
Yeah, all right. Well, good deal. Well, let's drive around the truck a little bit and put it through some motions and raise and lower the dump bed and see what this thing can do.
We'll try to pull around and then see if they can just drop a couple loads in so we can see the weight go up.
Sure. So talk to me about this proving ground that Hyundai secured out here.
Yeah, so it's 50 acres. Right now we have half of it cleared, built out into 3 tiers, and then what we would call like a tier 0. The goal is to put up a 20 to 30,000 square foot building, and then to have a place to basically bring out customers, be able to bring dealers and dealer salesmen to get associated with the machines, especially our new lines of product. That's going to be a big goal. We're looking to break ground in the middle of this year and then expand from there.
We're going to come around. We've got an HX480 that's out here that we've been doing some testing on versus some competitors, and we're going to pull around, and the operator in that 480 is going to load us, and we'll talk about how to raise the bin one more time and how to lower the bin. I think, Joe, you were telling me it is possible to pull away while the bin is lowering.
Yeah. Yeah, so you'll be able to put it in drive and move forward. There's no restriction on it. That could be considered a safety issue, but for the most part, it helps with productivity.
Yeah, we highly recommend that if you do pull away after loading the truck, as the bin is lowering, that you go probably stick in first gear until your bin is completely down. So we're going to switch drivers here. I'm going to give this thing a run for a second, and I'm going to let Joe take over with the camera. Some of the things that you'll see on the screen that are unique, when you're being loaded, it does show you the amount of tonnage that is going into the truck. The onboard weigh system, as he was talking about, the active and the static onboard weigh system. So the white number is the static onboard weigh system, which you would have to be in neutral for it to calculate correctly. Is that right?
Parked.
And the dynamic onboard weigh system is basically shows upon dump. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. The other thing I noticed there is you've got an angle sensor there that shows the percent of grade, and so this machine does have the indicator that shows you the percent of roll and pitch, and I think there is a mechanism or a feature that prohibits your ability to lift the bin.
Correct, yeah, there's a tilt protection.
Parameter.
Yeah.
Okay. So to drive, this is forward, neutral, reverse.
Correct. You have to actively press the button on top of the shift lever.
So I have to depress the brake first, release the park brake.
Correct.
Pull down and push. Okay. And then I have to press the button.
Yes.
To put it into forward. Like that.
Yep.
I assume our bin is already loaded, and we just pull away. Very easy. Does this have any kind of accelerator detent on it?
It does not.
Like a kick down to first gear or anything?
It does not. It does it based off of the accelerator. But it's active in the transmission, not something we control.
Let's run down the hill. What do you think?
Okay.
And then we'll come back up. So Joe, when you were doing our training, there were some things that I thought were kind of unique. One of the things was it had an angled dump body. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, so with the dump body being pitched a little bit forward, it enables the weight of the payload to be able to distribute it evenly across all three axles. And a bulk of the material sits more forward than some of the more flat bottom bins.
Okay. So how's the clean out on the bin?
Because of that angle and the pitch all the way back, it dumps out very easily. There's also an option for a bed heater, which would enable any kind of frost or sticking in the bed to come out easily when you're dumping.
Okay. Do they offer optional bed liners or anything?
No, nothing like that, but a lot of dealers have third-party solutions and things they can offer.
Now, you actually went to the factory and toured the factory, didn't you?
Yeah, so I went to Norway where they assemble these. It was very good to see. They mill and build all of the rear differential and union the forward and aft mounting system, or excuse me, the forward and aft frames together, and they also mill the main bearings that the truck articulates on and that make up the bogie system. They mill them there in the plant.
Really?
So it's pretty impressive to see.
What else stood out to you when you visited the factory?
So they were pretty meticulous across their assembly line. All their guys were very specialized into the different departments and segments of the line itself. At the time, they were putting out a truck every day, and they've been ramping that up as the production needs ramps up. So
Hyundai purchased Doosan, which then changed their name to Devilon. That was back a couple years ago, I think it was?
Yeah, maybe? So they purchased a portion of Doosan, right? Some of it still exists, like Doosan Heavy Industries, but the construction equipment segment was bought off and then renamed Devlon. And so that name changed over, and then all of us now fall under HD Hyundai. And then our parent company is Site Solutions.
Now, have you had an opportunity to go to Korea yet?
Yeah, so we went to South Korea last year, got to see some of the prototypes for our new units we're expecting, and then got to see the office spaces and the different headquarters for our company.
Yeah, I've been to Korea years ago. I used to work for Hyundai before I started with National Equipment Dealers, and went to Korea many times. And I was always impressed with the quality of the Hyundai product. Just such a high quality product, and the testing that they put the product through. So we're going to try to pull up here and stage ourselves to back up and dump. And so we're going to reverse. We've got a backup camera, Joe, if you can see the backup camera here. There's our backup camera, which is protected by a guard. Is that an optional guard or is that standard?
It's standard.
Okay.
Right there's good.
Okay. So in this situation, the best thing to do would be to put it into neutral. We want to apply our park brake, correct?
Yep.
And then now we would want to raise the bin. We can accelerate with this button. So if we press this button, it'll increase the RPM as we raise the bin. You can hear the RPM going up, which allows us to raise the bin at a fast speed. Do we have to let off as it gets close to the end of the stroke, or?
You don't.
So it automatically slows the stop.
Yeah, it feels
That's
the
really
cushion
nice.
in the cylinder, and it slows down the accelerator. And then as you come back down, once it gets close to the frame again, there's also a cushion on that side where the bed enters a float, and it's a little easier sitting down.
Now, do I have to press this button to go into forward?
You do.
So we go into forward. Okay. Yeah, because it didn't engage when I did it before.
Right.
That's
Yeah, it's
nice.
like
Nice
positive
safety
shifting.
feature.
Yep.
Yeah,
Parking
so
brake.
Park brake up. We'll put it back in neutral. We'll try it again. So we're going to release the park brake. Pull down, push down to release the park brake. Light goes off, park brake is off. Then we're going to press this button on the top of the shift lever and press forward.
And then you can see on there you have the bin warning indicator, right?
Yeah, so let's show that on the screen. So right here we have a bin warning indicator that's indicating that our bin is in the upright position. So now I have a detent, and I can actually just press this forward, and I can start to drive, and my bin will start to lower as I drive. If I'm not permitted to do that on site, then I would need to keep my foot on the brake and wait until the bin is all the way down before I depart. There are certain sites that don't allow you to do that. Now you can see on the screen the bin warning indicator is gone. A couple of things that you just went over, the way the bin reacts when you raise the bin and you lower the bin. One thing that really stands out to me is that it's got almost an automatic cushion or float, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So when you raise the bin, even if you're fully stroking the joystick to raise the bin, it's going to slow itself to a stop as it reaches the top. And then the same thing for the bottom. Once it gets down below, what, 25%?
Yeah, once it gets closer to like 5% of the bin of the cylinder stroke, it enters a float and the bin settles down, and then it stays like that the whole time you're driving the bin.
So one other nice thing that Joe was sharing with me is that all of these trucks, both the HA30 and the HA45, have hydropneumatic suspension with auto adjustment. So they're basically an auto front suspension. And that does a couple different things. One, you have the ability to manually adjust the suspension for transport purposes if need be. And it will automatically self-regulate the height of the suspension on the left or the right-hand side, depending on the type of ground conditions that you're on. So it's a really nice feature, and one of those features that typically with the competition it's an option, and you don't usually see that option until you get into the bigger models. So with an HA30, that's a really nice feature.
Yeah, self-leveling cab is definitely a plus.
Yeah.
So we turned on the suspension, and then you hold the wand to override the self-leveling, and then you can basically turn it to manual so that we can make it squat however we want it to. What you would do is you'd lower the unit so that when you chain the machine down, when you turn it back on, it doesn't auto level and snap the machines or stress the tie down points.
Okay, so once we've done the manual suspension adjustment, walk me through how to turn it back to auto again.
Yeah, so you would just basically, I think you, like that.
So you hold and press that, then it auto levels
And
again.
then you should feel the actuators fill back in. That's just a flyaway safety cable, and then the hood for the engine, and then this is the hydraulic jack for the cab itself.
So Joe and I are standing outside the machine. We wanted to show a couple of the features that relate to the service access and some of the convenience features as it relates to maintaining these trucks. So Joe, show us a little bit about this access panel you were telling me about.
Yeah, so on this back side here, you have the service hours matrix, and then you have transmission and oil filters, the auto grease kits here also, and then the quick fill gun for the auto grease system.
How many liters is that auto grease system?
So that's a 5 liter, and then there's a 20 liter option.
That's really convenient.
Yeah, and then so from the back access, you have access to the main control, or the main pump, and then the hydraulic power steering and main control valve. And then the transmission is further in there under the cab itself.
And of course the cab tilts, so you can gain even better access with the cab in a tilted position, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your tire inflation chart is here.
And then oil and transmission fluid levels.
And then your oil and transmission fluid levels is here. That's really nice. I like that. And then it has a specialized grease gun.
Yeah, that's just utilized as a quick fill to refill your auto grease system.
Awesome. Talked about, you said something about earlier, the forward-mounted steering cylinders and an advantage of that.
Yeah, so you gain a little bit of stability because the turning cylinders are mounted right at the articulation joint, whereas some of the competitive ones will be mounted closer to the further back on the aft frame. And that just gives you a little bit more stability and helps transfer some of the load to the front outboard wheel whenever you're taking harder turns on an incline.
It looks also like they have some cylinder guards in place to keep those protected, right?
Yes, sir. So rocks that are coming down from the top, you have cylinder guards on the cylinders for the rear.
Awesome.
The bed has a angled slope to it. And what that does is it helps you retain more material whenever you're operating without a tailgate. The Kessler hubs, the front ones, and then the two on the front of the bogie system both have outboard wet disc brakes. The tailgate's standard, which is a nice included feature on the truck.
And then you were telling me the cubic yard payload capacity on this truck is what?
So not heaped, right? Just the bin capacity is 34 yards.
Okay, heaped would be more than that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The bogie system is unique.
Tell me about that.
It's gear driven, a single rear differential, and enables all 4 rear tires to maintain traction and contact with the ground on intense or extreme inclines.
You were talking about the bearings have been redesigned and have some built-in grease channels. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so originally the main 2 bearings here that are on the bogie system, as well as the main bearing that's on the machine for articulation, was designed with brass wear strips, but now it's just all stainless steel milled with slots and passages for grease to extend the life as much as 12,000 hours.
Wow, that's amazing. And there's 3 of those on the truck, right?
Yes, sir. 3 identical bearings across the whole machine, and then the auto grease system services every point on the machine.
So you've got a bearing in the main articulation point on both the bogies, and then you've got a bearing of that quality that is located at the articulation joint of the front chassis to the rear.
Yes, sir.
These are great trucks, guys. National Equipment Dealers is the largest Hyundai dealer in the U.S. We've got 18 branches across 5 states. We represent the entire product line, from excavators to wheel loaders to compactors to soon-to-be-launched dozers, and of course these off-road haul trucks. 2 different haul trucks that are available, an HA30, which is a 30-ton truck, and an HA45. Joe, we really appreciate you taking the time to train our group, to run us through some of the features and functions on this truck, and kind of teach us a little bit about it. Thank you so much for your time. And if you're interested in learning more about these trucks, if you're interested in learning more about Hyundai, you can certainly visit our website at www.nedealers.com, or you can visit the Hyundai website at www.hceamericas.com. Thank you.